The small thieves. So, one day, you open your wallet and realize there's no money, and you have no idea where you spent your money. Or you check your account balance, and even without buying anything specific, expenses accumulate to an exaggerated amount. Probably you fell victim to ant expenses that silently steal your money. But what are ant expenses exactly? They are all those small expenses we have in our daily lives, so small that they go unnoticed or seem harmless, but when added up, they become a significant amount of money that often prevents us from making it to the end of the month. And why are they called ant expenses? Because they are tiny and often come in groups, just like ants that bite you once, and suddenly you realize you're standing in an anthill. Do you know what the most common ant expenses are? Reply in the comments with your thoughts. There are countless of them, but let's look at the most common ones and see if you identify with any of them. First, water bottles. It's crazy, but even knowing that we'll be out for a few hours or that we're going for a walk in the sweltering summer heat, we leave home unprepared. We realize something is missing once we're sweating and very thirsty, and there's no way around it. If we didn't bring water, we need to buy. Certainly, water is not expensive, but if a bottle costs $1 and we buy it frequently, by the end of the month it adds up to a considerable amount, and it's an expense we can easily avoid. Second, street cravings. Who doesn't crave a warm croissant behind a window, a donut, your favorite chocolates, a pack of chips, a soda, or a delicious coffee? There are hundreds of delicious things that tempt us when we pass by the street, and just when we think we can resist temptation, we see a price so low and affordable that we end up buying. Third, quick transportation, taxi, Uber. Leaving home with little time to reach our destination works against us. We are forced to take a taxi or private transport, which is more expensive. Or maybe we don't want to use public transportation due to laziness and comfort. We prefer to pay a little more. Sure, it has its advantages and puts us exactly where we want to go. If it doesn't affect your budget, that's fine. Otherwise, consider using private transport only when necessary. Fourth, app subscriptions. Many apps we use on our phones are free but offer micropayments for additional services. $10 a month to have access to all classes or $5 for some virtual coins we can exchange for something extra. It's not a big deal, especially if we pay for educational apps. For example, an app to learn another language. However, at the end of the month, it's worth checking if what we spend on these services is affecting our budget, or if we're just paying for the sake of it because we're not utilizing what we bought. Fifth, withdrawing money from ATMs. This is a bit less common in some countries, but sometimes, out of laziness or urgency, we end up using another ATM that doesn't belong to our bank. It doesn't bother us to pay a little extra. After all, it's just a few measly dollars. However, if we add up all these small amounts over a month or a year, it may not seem so small. Sixth, vices. This type of expense is usually the most harmful and the most difficult to eliminate because it requires more than watching 1 or 2 videos on the subject. If you smoke about 2 packs of cigarettes a day, costing between $2 and $3, this easily adds up to $50 or $100 monthly. Cigarettes, sweets, alcoholic or energy drinks, or any other vice not only empty your pockets, but also harm your health, leading to much more serious expenses in the future. How to identify your ant expenses? Most of us can easily point out what our big expenses are, like rent, electricity, internet, etc. Even if we don't know the exact numbers, at least we can roughly say how much they are. On the other hand, we underestimate small expenses, like coffee, water, sweets, which, when added up, become significant. If you don't know how much money you spend on your small expenses, there are 2 steps to find out. First, examine your daily expenses. Carry a notebook or use your phone to note down every small purchase you make during the day. Do this every day for about 30 days. If you pay everything with a card, then you don't need to do this, as you will have the spending history when you access your account. Then, look at these expenses and observe which ones repeat or arise unexpectedly. It could be the morning coffee, phone top-ups, snacks, or the taxi you take home after work. Once you have identified them, list each of these expenses, and you will have the total of your ant expenses. Perhaps all of this may seem exaggerated, but a person who works outside the home usually has at least 2 or 3 of these expenses per day. If you think you spend little on them at the end of the week, Add up all these amounts and then multiply that sum by the weeks in the month and then by the months in the year. You may no longer think it's a small amount. How to eliminate your ant expenses. You don't necessarily need to eliminate all of them. You can buy some cookies or take a taxi from time to time without making yourself poorer. However, perhaps you could put that money to better use, like building your financial reserve, going out to dinner with your partner at the end of the month, or replacing your old cushions. Well, you know better how to use that money. Here are some examples of how to eliminate ant expenses. Always carry a water bottle with you, or if you're someone who needs coffee before work, prepare it in advance and take it in a thermal cup to work. Prepare meals and snacks at home. Besides being healthier, they are much cheaper in the long run. Leave on time. If you plan well, you won't need to take a taxi to arrive on time. Reserve that option for very necessary or urgent cases. Withdraw money only once a week or fortnight from an ATM belonging to your bank. Manage that money so that you don't need to withdraw more during that time, thus spending less on withdrawal fees. If you can't do it alone, seek help to eliminate vices, or at least reduce them until you can quit them completely. Set a monthly amount to treat yourself. For example, you can allocate $50 per month to go out to eat, take a taxi, etc. These small thieves, represented by ant expenses, are a financial reality that many of us face daily. Sometimes, realizing the impact of these small expenses on our wallets can be surprising. Bottled water, sudden cravings, frequent ATM withdrawals, app payments, quick transportation, and vices are just some of the expenses that individually seem small, but when grouped, can pose a significant threat to our finances. So identify these expenses, as we often underestimate their frequency and cumulative impact. The tip is to keep a daily record for about 30 days to analyze patterns and identify areas for improvement. Knowing exactly where the money is going can be the first step to controlling ant expenses. Being aware of these spending habits and combining it with practical measures can result in considerable savings at the end of the month and year. By eliminating them, you can redirect that money to more important goals for you, such as building a financial reserve, investing in outings with your loved ones, or investing in your well-being. Remember, true financial transformation is not just about cutting costs, but also about exploring opportunities to increase income. Finding a healthy balance between saving and investing could be the key to a more secure financial situation. If you have a good financial situation, you may not need to eliminate expenses. Otherwise, reducing ant expenses can help save some money, but don't stop there. The best results happen when you also increase your income. Thank you for watching until the end. Comment if you enjoyed today's video and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.